welcome. I just posted this tweet a little while ago. Let's see their reply to me. Look, there are more, but I couldn't include them all. I believe these are the 4 most often mentioned. Zubimendi has been mentioned a lot in the last few hours. It's true that those who are suggesting this possible signing by Real Madrid don't really give me much confidence. There isn't any prominent journalist talking about that possibility as something certain. And besides, Arsenal would be asking for a lot for Zubimendi. He knows perfectly well that he has lost status within the team and, above all, the chances of becoming a starter again, especially with the signing of Bruno Guimaraes. Arsenal might also be willing to sell him. But anyway, last year Madrid could have had him for 60, and now it turns out they would be signing him for 90. It wouldn't be a good deal, but given the urgency to sign a defensive midfielder, which I think is there, Madrid is saying something else. They say no. But anyway, but since you went after one, which is Rodri, and in the end it didn't happen, the logical thing is, and there's a video about this, that you keep going after a defensive midfielder. And I think in this case, and I'm going to analyze each one, and then I'll add a few more names. By the way, at the end of the video, there's a surprise with someone who knows them even better than I do, especially one of them. One of the ones who appears here, well, I think that would be the natural choice. Who is Rodri's natural substitute in the Spanish national team? Zubimendi? Damn well, Zubimendi. Besides, Zubimendi, it's true that in the last year, well, in the World Cup, he barely played at all. I think he had his first and only minutes in the final. Interesting how Zubimendi was brought in for both the Euro Cup and World Cup finals, right? But it's true that in the Euro Cup, that second half against England, people thought that the Spanish team would be affected by not having Rodri. And hey, he almost did better than Rodri in the first half. I mean, that wasn't so long ago, just 2 years ago. And Zubimendi now, whatever he has gained, he must have gained in experience, in my opinion. But anyway, I insist. Last year, you could have had him for 60, and Madrid said no. They told Xabi Alonso, what were you thinking? By the way, one of the teams that could be interested in Zubimendi is in the Premier League, and it would be Xabi Alonso's Chelsea. So you might have to keep an eye on that. If you have to compete with Chelsea, the price would go up. Maybe we'd be talking about 100 million already. It's crazy. It's hard to buy in England because they have the money, right? But anyway, what I think is that out of all of these, it would be the most natural. Another issue is if Mourinho likes him. And in a midfield with, in theory, so much talent in Real Madrid's midfield. Although I keep saying, did you see any of the previous videos? When I was talking about the vase, the painting, the chair, and so on, the table is missing, the table is missing. Well, I don't know if in a Madrid of, well, not because of Mourinho. Mourinho puts in those he thinks are better. In Florentino's Madrid, Zubimendi would fit there in the midfield, but maybe he thinks this kind of player lacks fame. So I think Madrid wouldn't go for him. They didn't last year. They wouldn't this year. But for me, he would make the most sense. Kees Smit. What's the bad thing I see in Kees Smit? Other than that, I like him a lot. He's not really a central midfielder or a true pivot who controls the game, though maybe he could become one someday. I see him a bit more like a Modric, a midfielder who, hey, you can back him, but not to be a holding midfielder. I mean, people are talking about him as if he were the holding midfielder Real Madrid needs. But I see him with a lot of ability to make a difference from an attacking point of view. From midfield, I see him not quite an attacking midfielder, but with a tendency to push forward and deliver final passes. He reminds me more of Modric than of a typical central midfielder like Ayub, whom we'll discuss now. More positional, more suited to that role, more of a boss there with more calmness, with more composure. So, how much is Kees Smit worth? They're saying, well, and another question. I think it's because of his youth, but Koeman, for example, didn't take him. Transfer market values him at 25 million. It's odd that AZ Alkmaar hasn't sold him yet, especially since they value him so highly and Madrid has been interested since last year. AZ Alkmaar would definitely ask for more. But I don't know. The fact that he didn't go to the World Cup also left me a bit surprised, you know? Let's not even mention Adam Wharton, who I thought would go to the World Cup, but Tuchel didn't take him. Although, well, Tuchel, after the mess he made in the semi-final against Argentina, maybe he's just a really strange coach, Tuchel, right? And that, well, shouldn't change the opinion we have about Adam Wharton. About Adam Wharton, what should be done? as the Moroccan said at the end, is to watch him more than just in the highlights. And surely among you, there are already people who have seen him more than I have, because I've only seen him in highlights. And what I really like about the Englishman is the ability that, by the way, let's see how much he's valued at here on transfer market. Adam Wharton, 70 million. Crystal Palace would ask you for much more. Here we would also be talking about 90, something like that. It really surprises me that in England a big club hasn't signed him yet and that he didn't go to the World Cup. Although, well, with Tuchel involved. But I insist he is much more of a holding midfielder than Kees Smit, from what I've seen, from the little I've seen. I like him because he has great dribbling skills and is left-footed, which makes him different. He moves forward very well with the ball. He can hit a good long pass. He has some very interesting qualities. But of course, it's the same thing. If they show you some highlights of Camavinga, you think the same. Exactly the same, right? Some highlights, Camavinga, 3 minutes, damn, you're amazed, right? With what he's done in the last few years. Because, of course, you have to watch several games in a row of Camavinga to really know what he's like. That's what we're already used to. So Real Madrid would be wary of signing something similar. And then Ayub Bouadi is the one I see as more suited for that position. He is, along with Zubimendi, the most natural replacement for the failed signing of Rodri. But of course, here you already have to shell out more than 100 million because Manchester City practically has an agreement and they're already talking about an amount over 100 million because Lila is really raising their demands. Hey, and they're within their rights to do so. The kid got a lot of attention at the World Cup. Joining the bidding war just to mess with City wouldn't be a bad idea. But getting into that bidding war after you've already bought Diamande this same summer for 140 million, 125 plus add-ons, well, that's already a huge amount of money. Madrid has it. They definitely do. I think that's clear. And besides, it's about strengthening the only position you still need to reinforce. Beyond the center back situation, which we can talk about in future videos if you want, I don't see the center back as such an urgent issue because in terms of numbers, I think we already have enough center backs. It's true that we need a left-footed one, and it's true that Mourinho would be asking for it because he doesn't trust Rudiger, whether Rudiger can play enough matches or give you enough minutes. This year, he doesn't fully trust Hausen, because of his youth and because we've seen Hausen play very well and then very badly. Of course, Asensio is out of the question. He wouldn't fully trust Konate either. We might have a problem there, but for me, if I had to rank the problems, the first one is definitely the defensive midfielder. Although, well, the club says that's no longer the case. I mean, Rodri isn't, well, not anymore. We've talked about this in previous videos. In terms of consistency, this doesn't make any sense. If you need a defensive midfielder, you have to go for him, even if one says no. If he already said no, the only one you see there because of his importance and the type of player he is, and you don't see anyone else, none of these guys who could be a guarantee. Like Rodri would have been, is it possible to understand that the club might think that because they only saw a figure like Rodri? But the team still needs this. It still needs it. But well, just look at the consistency that Madrid has in a lot of transfer windows, because that offer we made for Julian Alvarez of 150 million, I mean, is Madrid really going to spend that much? The big signing this summer is for a guy with Julian's characteristics. You go after Julian, and we never really believed we were fully going after Julian, of course. You go after Julian, who is a number 7, a second striker. He's not a winger, but you end up signing a winger for almost that amount, who is Jan Diomande. Well, man, anyway, like I said, Bouaddi is the one that makes the most sense to me. But is he the most expensive one in a summer where you've already signed the most expensive player in your history? There are more. There are more that I didn't include them there because, well, I didn't have space and because I think they're the ones people talk about the least. More Locatelli, for example, from Juve. Well, he's a footballer who, sorry, doesn't really impress me. It's just that, above all, maybe what really influences me is the fact that football in this World Cup has shown you what leads to success, right? The kind of midfielder who understands football better than anyone else. That's just how it is, whether you like it or not. He's Spanish, and you're signing an Italian and an Italy that hasn't gone to 3 World Cups in a row, right? For the biggest event in the world of football, well, honestly, exciting. Exciting? I don't think it would excite anyone at all. Angelo Stiller was said to be the one Cruz liked, but people stopped mentioning him. He went to the World Cup and Eaglesman played him, but honestly, we barely saw Angelo Stiller. I don't know. I don't think so either. He's not really in the running. He could be left-footed too, like Wharton, but not as vertical as him, not with such a long stride and all that. He's more positional. It wouldn't be bad, but he's not one of the ones I'm most excited about either. And mind you, there was a lot of talk about him last summer. That Hay or Sestero, but I don't think Sestero is the defensive midfielder either. A classic for Real Madrid. And then besides, the club would have to change its policy. Mourinho has the guts to do it, of course, but I don't think he'll do it either. As for giving the reins to a kid from the youth academy, I don't think they do that with Cestero, although he's a player who could prove to be useful this year, just like Thiago Pitar, who isn't. I don't include Thiago Pitar here because I think Thiago Pitar isn't a central midfielder. He's more of a box-to-box midfielder like Cestero. I see him more as a central midfielder, but not as the anchor the team needs right now. And even less giving that responsibility to such a young kid. That's why, to replace that big imposing presence Rodri gives you either with Zubimendi or with Ayub, the rest are young people who might work out. Either you bring them from outside or you have them at home. But no, that's not the profile. I don't know. Tell me in the comments what you think. I'm going to call someone who really knows his stuff, Luca. Come here, my son. He's going to give his verdict. He's going to give his verdict here. Come on, we're here talking about the defensive midfielder. Come over here. For you, man, who is it? Come here. Come here on this side. This side is better from those who are here. Who? Bouadi directly? Yes.
Bouadi.
Bouadi, why?
I don't know. It's just that he's young. Well, the others who are here are also young.
Greetings to Ozu and Mendy, who isn't here.
He's so young. It's Ozu and Mendy. And who's the other one?
Kees Smit and football. He's the Dutchman from Zialma. There's been a lot of talk about him, but I don't really see him as that much of a holding midfielder.
Bouadi fits the profile better. If not, and Mendy, but it's hard for you. It's already hard. I don't play that well at Arsenal, and it would be a bit harder for you.
I think 90 million, but Bouadi even more. Bouadi over 100, which is what Manchester City is bidding for him. Plus, you're already getting into a bidding war with Manchester City, and if the price goes up, man. And we paid 125 million for Jean Diamant plus 15 million in add-ons. Yeah.
But how much would Adam Wharton be worth? Wharton?
70 million, but will they ask you for 80 or 90 for him? And also, there's something that bothers me about Adam Wharton. It's that Premier League clubs don't seem to be bidding much for him. And he didn't go to the World Cup. Tuchel didn't take him to the World Cup, but I like him, but I think to replace, if you wanted Rodri and Rodri says no, the one who best fits the profile of the player you want. For Real Madrid's holding midfielder role, he's the rawest one, I think, right? Yes. Well, Luca said it too because he's the most expensive. So that's it. All the best. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Look, let's do a recap because I posted this tweet a while ago. Let's see. Someone tells me here, someone says Miguel Serrano. It's the second chance life has given Madrid. Someone says signing Zubimendi is the closest to Rodri. Another says none have enough quality. Good evening, Miguel. Who do you prefer? I would say Zubi. Best regards. So greetings to Jose Angel and to me as well. I'm telling you either Zubi, Mendy, or Bouaddi, but none of them are coming. Not him, not Rodri, not anyone else, says a fourth person. Miguel says it's another story for what's left of the summer, says another. Another person says something here, but I won't read it because it's a bit, So easy. That's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hope everything goes well for you. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you enjoyed the video. What else can you do?
Hype up the video and recommend it to your friends.
Recommend it to your friends. See you. Bye. Ciao.
Bye. Goodbye. Bye.